The New Jersey Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this provision of this act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger and the Express Times, and submitted to the town clerk of the town of Belvidere on January 15th, 2025. The meeting will be live streamed at www.belvideresd.org. Flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Belvidere School District is to collaborate or to celebrate our past and empower our future while focusing on our four cornerstones of our district: tradition, excellence, academics, and community. We strive to build confidence and promote collaboration. We encourage an equal partnership with our students and staff as well as its community members. We empower everyone to develop the best versions of themselves. The Belvidere School District is committed to shaping students into global citizens who take initiative for their success and contribute to the continued excellence of the district. Our students are leaders in the decision-making process of their education and will be prepared to excel in a 21st century society. Roll call, please.
Mr. Blum? Mrs. Sarbone?
Here.
Dr. Zeppeth?
Here.
Mrs. Duckworth?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Steffen?
Here.
Ms. Walton?
Here.
Mrs. Wenner?
Here.
Mr. Ciccarelli?
Here.
Mrs. Gardella?
Here.
Mrs. Robotham?
Here.
Okay, so we have a couple presentations for tonight, and we will first start with our girls' basketball.
Okay. We have the honor and privilege tonight of honoring one of our girls' basketball players, Natalie Shiroka. Coach is going to come up and talk a little bit about her, but I just counted, I think she's the 7th 1,000-point scorer in school history. So, Coach, you want to jump up to the mic?
Thank you so much for having us here tonight to honor Natalie. You know, basketball is a team sport, but every once in a while you have these personal accomplishments that take place. Natalie achieved her 1,000 points on December 21st, 2024 against Hackettstown. What makes this amazing is she was her third game into her junior year. This young lady will probably set the scoring record out here and has I would say an outside shot of hitting 2,000 points. It's just amazing what this young lady has done. And when they interviewed her on TV, first thing she did was to thank her teammates, which is important because without your teammates, you don't achieve that success. Second one, she called out another young lady who I will probably be back here later in the year that'll probably achieve her 1,000 points, Carly Gubitosi. But it's been a real achievement. It's been a pleasure watching her coach. You know, and people ask me why I love coaching at Belvidere. She's one of the reasons, plus the 29 other reasons that are on my roster, the 30 girls that I have the privilege to coach here at Belvidere High School. It is really an honor and privilege to coach these young ladies at Belvidere because there's no other place like it. There really isn't. And I've been doing this for a long time. But what you have here at Belvidere with these young ladies and the students, it's just an amazing atmosphere. So thank you for having me, Coach. And I'd like to have Natalie come up. She's never shy, but she says she doesn't want to say anything.
Thank you.
That?
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we'll have the basketball made for you. It'll go in a showcase. While you guys are here, take the mic real quick. Coach is not going to be happy because if you know John O'Neill, he is not about himself. He is about his players, is a good example. But Coach recently reached a milestone of 200 wins as the girls' basketball coach here at Belvidere. And, yeah, absolutely. And we do want to recognize that because it's quite an achievement, and we appreciate his efforts. Coach.
Thank you.
Everything he has done for our teams since I've been here, he's done a great job. He actually coached Mr. Carabinas back in the day. We don't talk about that too much, though. But thank you for all you do for the girls. I know you don't like the public accolades, but you deserve it in this situation too. Natalie, excellent job. We're proud of you, and we hope you do score that 2,000 points. So thanks for coming out tonight.
Okay, so next on our agenda was for the audit report presentation. However, that person is sick and unable to come, so we will push that to the next meeting, hopefully. Okay. All right, so we're on to committee reports.
Okay, so we met last week. Is this on? For the curriculum and policy meeting, it was quite lengthy. We went over a lot of issues. They released the policies for this quarter. So we reviewed policy updates regarding the electronic policy, the AI policy, staff tuition policy. We reviewed the Renaissance testing program. The team visited Phillipsburg to review how they use their testing data and how our team then has created a wall for each student to track testing scores. And we reviewed the climate survey, which was sent out last week to parents in both Belvidere Elementary School and the high school. And that will be sent out to the students as well in the upcoming week. Career Day is scheduled for May 30th. There will be further conversation and discussion around the electives and the survey that was sent out. The high school implemented a school safety program, which is currently used in the Belvidere Elementary School. This will be used as an educational piece to consequences. And then there was an update in regards to the Belvidere Elementary School STEM program. So the Belvidere Elementary School STEM program is getting good use of the Finch robots. And we were able to videos, and so we're really excited about that. Any questions?
What, the safety program, could you just touch upon that a little bit?
Yeah, so it is a program that they use in the elementary school. So when they have a consequence for like a discipline, that is joined in with a kind of a coaching session around coaching them as to what, like how to be better in discussing.
Okay.
Announcing, talk to it a little bit better, but it's restorative.
Okay. And that's just been implemented into the high school?
Yeah, it's been in the elementary school.
Okay. How's it
All
working?
Any other questions for curriculum policy? Okay, on to finance and operations.
Okay, so just reading off the minutes for finance and operations, we discussed the upcoming challenges regarding the enrollment rate for out-of-enrollment rate as well as the out-of-district students and increased costs related to transportation and tuition for out-of-district students at the high school level. We are evaluating the current and future structure of our child study team. The child study team adjustment, there was a child study team adjustment that occurred regarding the tuition costs for White, Hope, and Harmony due to undercharging for child study team services. So back in October, our administrative team met with Hope and White representatives to how we would account for that adjustment in the upcoming new budget forecast. And then additionally, we were evaluating a scheduling model in both the high school and elementary school in an effort to reduce costs by staffing more efficiently. And then there will be more discussion to follow regarding the preliminary budget for 2025-2026 next week and throughout the next 2 months.
Any questions on any of the finance or operations?
I have a quick question on the time with the school. Is that to create efficiency?
Yep, to reduce the cost with the number of aides by aligning the periods from the elementary to the high school. Yes, because we're spending lots of money in that.
Any other questions? Okay, then on to the administration, student activity, community relations. We need to come up with an acronym for that or something.
Is that where personnel belongs? Can we put personnel in the title? I think that's more important than maybe the rest of the stuff. It's extremely important.
So now we're adding minutes, or excuse me, administrative, student activities, community relations, and personnel. Should we maybe add, it's only 3, I think, of us. Is there any other, should we have more board members on that?
Well, everybody has to be on one because we're meeting at the same time. So, yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes.
All right. Well, and I apologize, I got the minutes out late. So we talked on our agenda, going off of the agenda items. Mr. Carabinas has been in contact and having conversations with St. Luke's on expanding the partnership that we currently have with them, focusing on some additional resources that will hopefully be made available to us from them coming into the fall season. Touched a little bit about the academic coaching and that it's been working well. We have had some students working with their coaches. I think there have been a couple who have had a little bit more follow through, but it seems to be working quite well. We touched upon some of the fall programs in the sports as far as soccer and girls tennis, which is going to do a co-op with Warren Hills for 25 tennis fall team. We looked at a outline that Mr. Kennedy had presented on some field maintenance. I believe it went out to bid, and we're still kind of looking at that a little bit, but that's going to include having better fields, nutritional needs that would improve for the fields due to weather conditions and just, being, the turf and things of that nature. Track and field for 25 is looking to have some potential changes in coaches, and I believe it's our current coaches, son, is that right? Yeah, who we're looking to for 25, and we're going to be we're advertising will go out in March. Bowling is doing really well, placed second in the Hunterdon, Warren, and Sussex Conference, and I saw today that there was an article about the team in Landon that went out too, which is really fantastic. They're getting a lot of good press. Student activities, we have the BHS Spring Musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamboat. From what I'm hearing, the students are very excited about the coordinator that's coming in, and so this should be a nice hit for Belvidere. We also had some students, Jada Larson and Cooper Stallone, attend with Senator Steinhardt, the State of State down in Washington, so that went really well. We had some leadership opportunities and updates, that was leadership and opportunities, I should say there. For community relations, we kind of just touched and did some brainstorming, but we talked a little bit about how to, I guess, allocate a little time in the meetings to address public comments to the best of our ability, just so people understand that we are addressing and talking about their concerns when they're presented here. Also talking about just some different ways that we can kind of bridge that gap. And one of the things that I thought about afterwards, which is not in the meetings, and I was going to bring it up, that I have some additional ideas. I don't know if I should talk about it now or if maybe we should wait for new business or something. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's nothing major, but I just had a couple ideas on some of the community relationships. So that was it. It's pretty exciting stuff, I think, for sure, coming down the pipeline in 25.
Any questions on any of that? No? Okay. So.
You might want to mention, we did have instructional council tonight, right
Oh,
before.
yes, just right before.
We did our first instructional council meeting of the year tonight. It was actually a very different group than we've had over the last couple of years. It was actually nice to get some fresh faces, fresh ideas. So we'll have the notes out hopefully for the weekend. I'll send those out to you, but I think we all agreed it was a very productive meeting. Talked about anything and everything, basically K to 12. Actually 9 to 12 probably got a little bit of the short end of the stick, just time-wise, but pre-K to 8 got a lot of discussion. So we'll get those notes out, but we did just meet beforehand. So it was very good meeting.
Okay, so we are on to interview of our board candidate, Colleen White. Colleen here? Okay. So, she's not here, so we'll catch up with her and see what happened there. All right, so now we then will be, do we want to do exec? We don't have to, right?
We just talk about those personnel items.
Oh, because we do have, all
Yeah.
right, so it wasn't just for board candidate. Okay, so I think we need to look to go to executive session. It'll be just for personnel then. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, so any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practicable. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the closed session in approximately 15 minutes? Okay. Do we want to leave or?
I think it's easier.
Okay. If you could all step out in the hall, please. Sorry. We'll try and be quick. We are open for public participation. Does anybody have public participation on agenda items?
Is it something on the agenda?
No.
Then there's a second public
Yeah.
participation for that at the end of the meeting. The first one is for agenda items only.
No, it's fine. Okay, any public participation on agenda items this evening? No? All right, correspondence?
I don't think so.
No correspondence? Great. Okay, so we need superintendent's report, please.
Okay. I just have a few things. I knew we would have a long meeting tonight, so I don't want to go too much, but I did want to mention today one of the unique events to Belvidere, which was a lot of fun. This afternoon, we had the K-2 spelling bee, which was a lot of fun to go. And I think for some of our students, they're a little more nervous about actually having to stand up and spell rather than whether or not they knew the word. So it was kind of fun. Third place, we had Victoria Pierre. Second place, we had Braden Krupka. And in first place, we had Maggie Hammerly. So it was really a lot of fun. Mrs. Tierney and Mrs. Bader put it together, and of course, appreciation from the K-2 teachers. So it was a lot of fun. Kind of a build-up as we get into the bigger spelling bee, but it was really a cool little event. So I did want to mention that. That was fun. With that, we also met today our first AI task force. Unfortunately, our meeting was a little shorter than we wanted it to be because of the delayed opening, but had a nice start to get some groundwork done. We got a good committee together, so hopefully at the February meeting, I'll report on that a little bit more. I know that's one of the goals, so I wanted to just talk about that. I think we mentioned the career fair is up and running for May 30th. I know we talk a lot about that. So if you have anybody you know that'd be interested in coming, please let myself or Dr. McKinney know. We want to try to get as many people together as possible. Mrs. Robotham is chomping at the bit to say something. Go
So
for it.
excited and looking forward to it. And I was just wondering, will the letters that be going out be distributed to all board members across the sending districts if interested?
We could do that, sure.
Yeah, and
Yep.
all parents too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
we
think
could do
that
that,
would be
yep.
great.
Excellent. So we are looking forward to that. A couple of other things. It was great to see Natalie here for her 1,000th and Coach O'Neill for his 200th win. We've had some great sports going on here in the winter tonight. We have wrestling over in the gym. Things are moving along. If anybody is interested, next Thursday we have a huge bowling match against, I think it's Franklin, one of the bigger schools. Escapes me, but it's for the Skylands Conference title. They're 12-1, we're 12-1, so it should be a lot of fun. So 3 o'clock over at the Alley, right over there on 519. So our bowling team's been excellent. They've gotten a lot of good press lately. If you haven't seen, we're really proud of them for a second-year program. Hopefully they can bring home a state title. So congratulations to them. A couple of follow-ups as far as the Girl Scout issue that we discussed a little bit at the last meeting. I do have a couple of missed calls with one of the leaders that I just want to talk to kind of straighten some things out. So hopefully be able to report back at the February meeting as to where we landed with that. I know a couple of meetings ago, I think it was before Christmas, there was a concern about feminine products not being dispensed correctly. Mr. Kennedy said that we have ordered all of the dispensers, and they are coming in. They'll be in all the female bathrooms as soon as they come in. And follow up with the nurses. The nurses did say that they had enough, but we'll always accept donations also. So just want to follow up on that too. And the other thing with the last meeting too is the one parent who had concerns about their child's FBA not being done in a timely manner. That is being looked into and made sure that those timelines are met. So I'll be able to report back on that also at the next meeting. So I think those are some of the big follow-ups that we've had. The last thing worth mentioning is, and you can see on the agenda, the 3rd Street piece is on there again. That's just more of a re-upping of our paperwork. I know Mayor Myers got a little excited today when she saw that because I think she thought we were finally getting ready to sell it. Not quite there yet, still waiting for the Department of Ed and some of the hoops we have to jump through, but that's just more of a procedural piece that's on the agenda. And the last thing I do want to mention too, since Andy's report's going to come up next, is last week I had the misfortune of going up against Andy in Mr. Lutz's quiz bowl for the safety at the end of the marking period for woodshop. Andy did an outstanding job. Her team was getting creamed, and all of a sudden she just stepped it up, and they beat us by, I don't know, a couple thousand points. So congratulations, Andy.
Good
And when I
job.
lose, I like to admit it. So well done. And that's my report.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so now we're going to be on to our student representative report. Andy, you're on.
Thank you. Is it on?
Okay, yeah. There we go. Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet because you guys are going to be here a while. Earlier this month, the FFA went to the Pennsylvania Farm Show and everyone had a great time. Floriculture is now prepping for the greenhouse for the lily and tulip sale in the spring. This week is the Safe Club is spreading awareness for No Name Calling Week. So a couple of the faculty members across the school have been participating, and it's just to bring the school together and spread awareness. On February 11th, seniors from are going to participate in a concert for only seniors from Warren County, Sussex County, and all over eastern Pennsylvania. Lastly, the Drama Club is rehearsing for their production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamboat, which will be presented on March 7th and 8th. Thank you.
Great, thank you. When any of the clubs are doing fundraisers and stuff, can you guys send something to him so he can get it out to the board? Because I don't think we hear about them until they're after done.
We do
so
not.
that'd be great. Okay, so we are going to go with our presentation then for our school board's ethic training with Kelly Mitchell.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Erica, did we just touch it?
Yeah.
Or she got to hit
It
the
just-
button on the keyboard?
It went. She touched
No,
it and it went.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back in. I pulled up and I saw the parking lot full, and I thought, everybody's here for my ethics presentation. So I was super excited. But that was not the case, but that's okay. So just as a disclaimer, this is for informational purposes only. It's not to replace your board attorney. So if you ever need advice legally, you would go to the board attorney based on your policy. So we're going to talk a lot today about the School Ethics Act and the Code of Ethics. And when we think about the Ethics Act, we think about the respect and confidence of the people to make sure that our conduct is making sure that we're not going against any justifiable impression, that the public would not have trust in us. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And you're legally required to have a discussion about the code of ethics every year, so we are going to go around the room in a little bit and talk about each tenet and what that means. So the legislative intent of the act was to make sure, ensure, and preserve the public confidence and the integrity of school officials. So again, that roadmap into our conduct. So these are the provisions of the act. So all the board members and trustees have to abide by that code of ethics, and they also have to do the mandatory training. And that's what New Jersey School Boards does. We make sure that we supply that for you. And then all school officials also have to be under that act, the provision of that, and we'll talk about prohibited acts, and those fun little disclosures that you should be doing now that is very important that you do because they're very serious about getting that done in the proper time frame. So this actually shows what the commission is. The Ethics Commission is 9 people, 2 board members, 5 non-official school officials, and then 2 school administrators. Right now, there's 2 seats open for board members, so if you feel compelled to be on the commission itself, just write your governor, and that might be something that you want to be doing. So those financial disclosures, you'll get a link to that. If you're a brand new board member, you have to have that done in 30 days. If not, you have to have that done by April 30th. So if you could get that done as soon as possible. But a little tip is when you fill out that link, just save it as a PDF once you fill that all in and then email it. Otherwise, you're filling it out and you're losing that data. Take it from me, I've done it a million times and not saved it as a PDF and then had to go back and do that. So make sure you get that done because otherwise your board service will stop if you go past that time frame. So here's a snapshot of the mandatory training that we provide. If you're a brand new board member, you have to do Governance 1 within 90 days of being sworn in. We do have a really great weekend going on this week. That's done by a grant, so it's no cost to the district. And there's also one in February, too, for new board members. If you're not a new board member and you're in your 2nd year, you'd have to do Governance 2. You'll have until the end of this year, which is 12/31, to get that done. That is a financial and policy piece. And then if you're in your 3rd year, it's Governance 3. It's a student achievement piece and labor relations. That's a brand new program, and it's all about the Lighthouse project, so it's super interesting about student achievement. So you might want to take that one early on in the year if you could. And then if you were reappointed or reelected, you have to do that Governance 4, that's legal updates. Make sure that you get those done in time because otherwise you will have a problem with your board service. Now you can do these, like I said, in person, or you can do a live virtual, which is done by New Jersey School Boards, and you're there on Zoom live with other board members. Or you could do self-paced, which is you could come in and out of the training as you have time. So there's 2 aspects that the commission governs over. One is the advisory opinions. So if you have something that you think, you know what, we want to do this, but we're not sure if it would violate the act, you can write to the commission and ask for an opinion. They will discuss it and render it, and then 6 of those members would have to then vote to make it public. So that is something that goes on, and we have about 35 of them per year. This cute little policeman is here is because a lot of times board members say, well, they're just advisory opinions. And yes, they are advisory opinions telling you whether it could be possible violation of the Code of Ethics. However, if you think about a police officer and he said, you know, if you do this, you'll get a violation against you, you probably wouldn't test that guidance. So we just ask board members to be very mindful of that when you're conducting yourselves. And you're supposed to know all those advisory opinions. We send that on school board notes. So make sure that you watch your email for the new ones. So these are some that are released, and we don't need to read through all of them, but I do want to point out this second one. It says that, can a board member participate in negotiations if the ant is employed by the district but who is not in a local union. Before it was, if it was a non-union contract, you could go ahead and be involved in that. But now they've decided that there's a linkage piece to those contracts. So the foundation of a non-union contract is usually a union contract. So they said because of that linkage, you would not be able to participate in negotiations on that. So that's a new advisory, so I just wanted to bring that to top of mind because we're going to talk about that in a slide a little bit later when we talk about negotiations. These are all in your packet, so I left them there for you, but you know, there's all these advisory opinions that were just recently released. And then there's ethics complaints. Any member of the public can go ahead and put in a possible violation of the code for ethics complaints. They have 180 days to do so. But they would have to tell what section of the act the violation they feel was, and they would have to give factual evidence. So when we go through the tenets of the Code of Ethics, you'll see a word say standards. At those standards is what the commission looks at to determine if there was a violation. So that would be that factual evidence that the community member or what have you would have to provide. So these are the penalties if you do have a violation against you. The first one is a reprimand, and that's just a letter saying that here's the code of ethics that you went against, and you know, just basically don't do this again. Then it gets a little stronger to a censure. That would have to be, that letter would be read in public, and then it would be posted for 30 days on the website. So that's a little bit stronger. Then there's a suspension, and that's usually for a period of days. An example of a suspension, we had a board member that thought it was a really good idea to do a blog, and that member put the proper disclaimer and everything on it. But what happened was they went against the Code of Ethics when they went against one of our faculty members and said, you know, improper things about the faculty member. So then they were suspended for 60 days. And then there's a removal. That's very, very rare, but that's for a high, you know, degree of violation. So now we're going to go around the room and just read the tenets and talk about what they really mean and what a possible violation against each one would possibly look like. So I don't know who wants to start. Want to start? Yeah.
So A, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
Right, so this is what, when you have that oath and you're sworn in, this is what you're saying you're going to uphold, all the laws, rules, and regulations of the state. So a violation against A would be something that you went against state mandate, things like that. So again, we're here to uphold all those laws, rules, and regulations. Wants to repeat?
I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
Right, so the important thing about B is we talk about all students. We have to be making sure that when we're sitting here at the table, we're thinking about all students when we're voting on different things. So it's really important that it's not just special interest, it's all students. So letter C is really great because it tells us exactly what our board service is. It's policy making, planning, and appraisal. That's it. A lot of times board members think that they should be doing other activities. That is it as far as our board service goes. So we have to be very mindful that we don't go outside our lane.
I will carry out my but together with my fellow.
Right, so letter D really speaks to what we're supposed to do for our board service as that oversight piece. So we're sitting in the balcony looking down at the dance floor, but we're not down there with the dancers telling them what to do. So our role is of oversight. We're not here for the day-to-day. We're not rolling up our sleeves and getting involved with what the administration is doing. So I often say that the board is the what and the administration is the how.
I'd like to solve the puzzle, Pat. I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board.
So a lot of times with E, we see a violation there when board members have a hard time coming out of campaign mode and then going into board service mode. When you're campaigning, you're making personal promises all over, and that's okay. But then when you get to be at the board table, your authority only rests with the full board. So you can't make any of those personal promises or take any type of private action.
All right, I got the next one. I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interests or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
Again, we see that in campaign mode with F, where sometimes we have political groups that support us with our campaign. But then when we come together for board service, we have to remember that it's nonpartisan and that we have to not take away from our independent judgment. We have to make sure that we're there for all students. Right, so letter G really speaks to executive session. So anything that happens in executive session, we have to be very mindful that that stays confidential, that we can't speak to our spouse, our partner, our best friend. Nobody gets to hear that information, that it stays within these walls.
I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
So letter H speaks very specifically to, as a board member, we can't say, well, we think Sally Sue would be great for this position. The recommendation would only come from the superintendent.
I will support and protect school personnel and proper performance of their duties.
So letter I was talking about that gentleman that did the blog. He went against letter I because he didn't support the faculty member. So that was a violation there with that, that blog.
I will refer all complaints to the administrative officer. Act on only after.
So this speaks a lot to when you're out and about in town, and it always happens in the grocery store, of course, when somebody comes up to you, member of the community, and talks about their problems, and that's good and that's okay. But it speaks to chain of command. So we should have a dialogue in our head and say, we're sorry we're hearing this about, your situation. How did it go when you spoke to the teacher or the building principal, things like that. We have to be very mindful that we have no individual power at all, authority in any way. We only have authority when we're sitting together at a publicly noticed meeting. So thank you so much for going through that, and that's our discussion that we should have every year, and I hope that was helpful. So these are some of the cases with the Code of Ethics themselves. We don't need to read through them, but I just wanted to point out one. This was a 60-day suspension, and if you can see that it was a board member that was 15 plus years. So that board member went to an employee's house, picked up a letter, gave it to the BA, told the BA, don't give it to the superintendent, and then got involved at the board table and didn't recuse herself. So it does, sometimes it seems a little elementary that we go through the Code of Ethics, but you know, even though you've been on the board for quite some time, but if you think about it, sometimes even, you know, 15-year plus board members go off the rails every once in a while. So just be very mindful. This is something that's newer, and I just want to go over it. So, you know, a lot of times board members feel that they're just going to abstain if they have any kind of conflict. And now the new guidance is that an abstention is really not the correct method. You should recuse yourself from all discussion and from the vote as well if you have a legal conflict. An abstention is really only meant if you don't have enough data to make a decision on a vote. So we say that if you do have a legal conflict, to recuse yourself from discussion and from the vote. Because if you think about it, when you're discussing it at the board table and then say that you're not going to vote, you could have, you know, made a difference with the vote itself by that discussion. So you should recuse yourself and recuse yourself from the discussion and the vote if you do have a legal conflict. These are some of the prohibited acts that we would recuse ourselves for if we had any business interest, any financial gain, any gifts, favors, anything that would give us any benefit more than the board member sitting next to us, we would recuse ourselves from. And then this just spells out, this will be in your packet, just spells out what a benefit is. Sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's indirect. And they wanted to have a little bit of a rendering of what a benefit would be. These are some of the cases and some of the outcomes on like reprimand, things like that. So I put that into your packet. I also put into your packet a chart that really drills down to in-laws, stepchildren, things like that with when you're conflicted or not. And that's in your packet. But we also wanted to put these definitions in of what a relative is and what's an immediate family member, so you have that. And then, of course, we know that we may not hire any relative of a board member. Certainly, if there was somebody that already worked for the district, that's a little bit different, and there's caveats there. This is that collective bargaining graph that I told you about. So here you see that yes-no piece. So that speaks to that non-union piece that we just recently talked about. So you would not be able to participate in negotiations or ratify a contract, even if it's non-union. This is a little bit newer guidance also, and we don't usually see this, but if a union did support you in your campaign, you would not be able to be a part of negotiations for the first year that you're in your board service. And this is newer guidance that if you had a conflicted board president, the board president customarily picks everybody that's on the committees and the chairs, and then also sits on a lot of committees. If the board president was conflicted, they could not pick the chairs, could not be on any financial, personnel, negotiations committee. So that's just a newer guidance, even instructional, they say to stay away from. And then this is newer guidance too. It's very prevalent now to say that I had the advice of counsel, and you can go ahead and use that as your defense for a possible violation. But it would have to have all of these 4 aspects in order to be valid. So just be mindful that you can't do some type of conduct and then say, well, counsel told me it was okay to do. You have to make sure that you disclose all the pertinent facts to your board counsel, and then move forward with whatever conduct you feel is appropriate. We get a lot of questions on volunteering in schools, and certainly as a board member you can volunteer in school, but it's that degree of volunteerism. So if you feel that you're going to give a directive to a staff member, then you would have to shy away from that volunteerism. You can't give any type of directive, handle money in any way, and you can't be a staple in the school. So you can't be there every Tuesday constantly in the schools. As board members, it's something that we would say, shy away from that. But certainly you can go and be on a field trip, or you can read to the kids in class. We want you to volunteer. We just want you to make sure that you don't give any type of directive. And then these are some of the cases and examples of advisories for those volunteerism. And then social media is taking up a lot of time of the commission. So we're asking that, it's the capacity that you're speaking in, that you make sure that when you're on social media, you're only speaking in your personal capacity, and that a normal member of the public is not thinking that you're speaking for the full board. If you are going to go on and post on social media, the commission says that you should put this disclaimer on any of your forums, so that way it's clearly stating that it's your personal opinion and you're not speaking for the full board. Now, when we talked about that gentleman with the blog, he had that, but then he spoke poorly about a faculty member. So you have to be mindful of that content piece as well. This is some questions and answers about that disclaimer. Just because you have that disclaimer, does that abstain you from the violation? It does not. But, like I said, that content piece you have to be mindful of. And then any account that's going to identify you as a board member, you should really shut down. A lot of times when you do campaigning, you have that account that says, so-and-so for Board of Ed. If you do have something like that, you should never post from that once you're a board member, because that can put you in harm's way. Also, we get some questions on if you can like a post or not. Certainly you can like a post on from your personal page, but try to stay away from something that's overly political or something that you spoke about at the board table. And then they're saying this is newer guidance that you shouldn't administer any social media page, because that means that you're allowing content back and forth, and that could possibly cause a violation. So that's it. I know that was compelling. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Kelly?
Yeah, thanks for coming again.
Can I ask a
thank
question,
you.
Kelly?
Yes.
When you were doing the I can't even say it, recusal versus abstaining, so as we're doing our voting, is that something we need to ask, or is that something somebody would say? Like for myself, example, I might abstain because a cousin's name was on here for a position wherever. Do I not abstain? Am I supposed to say that I'm asking for a recusal?
The guidance is saying that you recuse yourself for that. But when you think about it, if you are voting and there's like a whole bunch that you're
Yes.
voting on,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like you have to pull that one out right before and just say that, you're going to recuse yourself from that specific one.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like if there was any type of discussion, and usually hiring somebody, there's not that much discussion, but if there was, you would stay out of that
Yeah.
discussion.
Okay. So it's nothing that in our normal voting, we ask, we still go through the same process, and if somebody
you
has
don't
that,
ask.
they can just say that as the
can.
vote
Yeah.
finishes?
And it's just guidance. I mean, your board attorney can guide you
Okay.
further on that, but that is the guidance from
Okay.
the commission.
I just didn't know if it was something we had to do before the vote, or, where that fell, so that nobody was getting
There's a lot
caught
of
up.
questions on that, and a lot of times I get questions on, do I leave the table? Like, do I have to leave
Yeah.
the room? And the guidance is, no, you just, you go ahead and recuse yourself and just don't speak on that.
Okay.
But, again, this is not to give any type of legal advice. It's just talking about the guidance, and that's a little bit newer. So when we get to that slide, there's a lot of questions on it, because most of the time board members feel to just abstain, but the guidance from the commission is saying that an abstention is really just saying that you don't have enough data to make that decision.
Okay.
But a recusal is saying that you're definitively saying that you have a conflict, a
Okay.
legal conflict.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. In your packet, there's what does it say on top, Robin?
Acknowledgement.
Yeah, if you could sign the acknowledgement,
Which
and
packet?
we just keep those on file.
Oh, so we can just now and then hand it in. This page. Thank you, Kelly Mitchell, for that presentation. Yep.
Bye, Kelly.
Okay, so now we are on to our agenda items. We start with policy, and it's item number 1 through 12. I don't think we have any, no, we don't have any add-ons. Can I have a motion to look at policy items 1 through 12?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any questions on any of those? They're all a first reading. No? Okay. So, all in favor of items 1 through 12?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions?
I think that's the first time we discussed policy in person, I don't know, 10 years?
Yeah.
At least.
So it was actually refreshing.
Yeah, we did a lot over COVID online
Yeah,
with all the new
all the
policies,
online
but
stuff, so it was nice
yeah.
to actually see the committee.
especially when
talk
there's
about
so
that.
many of them.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, so then we are on to personnel items, and that is 13 through 22B. There's 2 on the sheet tonight. Can I have a motion for agenda items 13 through 22?
B.
Or 22B, sorry.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on any of them? No? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sarbone?
Here.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. It's been a long day.
All of the above.
Doc?
Yes.
Mrs. Duckworth?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Steffen?
Yes.
Ms. Walton? Mrs. Wenner?
Yes.
Chicarelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Gardella?
Yes.
Mrs. Robotham?
Yes.
Okay, so now we are on to education items. It's agenda items numbered 23 through 28, and there is an addition on our page. Can I have a motion for 23 through 28?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on those items? No? All right. All in favor of agenda items 23 through 28 with the addition? Aye?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? No? Okay, so we are on to business items. Those are agenda items 29 through 33. Can I have a motion for those items?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on any of that? No? All in favor of 29 through 33? Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay. So that brings us to continuing business. Is there any continuing business tonight?
I think I updated on Third Street. That's always one of our favorites. Second, at the last meeting, we just touched briefly on the regionalization discussion that Ms. Wenner and myself attended probably 2.5 weeks ago or so. We are expecting, just to update it a little bit further, we are expecting the report to be done, I'll actually say like almost any day now. And I think I said at the last meeting, the holdup is one of the consultants is scheduling a meeting with the Commissioner of Education just to get some clarification on state funding and the impact of state funding by the regionalization process. At the meeting, there was a pretty healthy discussion about what the executive summary was going to say. I think we wanted to just kind of hold back a little bit until we actually saw the final report. But the idea would be if we can timeframe this the way we hope to, that by hopefully the end of this month, the steering committee would have the report, quick 2-week or so turnaround to review it. The steering committee would meet one more time with the consulting group, and then the consulting group would set up a time to do a public presentation for all 5 districts, including Great Meadows, and kind of go from there. I think the conversation was really good. think it was eye-opening about some of the things that we already do that are considered when it comes to regionalization. So hopefully we'll have all that. Hopefully by the time we meet again in February, we'll have seen the report and be able to move on. You want to add to that, Tyler? That was
No,
my
I
take
think
on it?
that, yeah, I think, so I guess, what do you think? We're looking like a month? Yeah, to have a little bit more of an update?
Yeah. Hopefully. I don't know if there's any questions.
Any other continuing business? New business? Any new business?
Oh, right. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a long week,
I
too.
think there is new business.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier. So I don't know, this, just kind of thinking when we did some brainstorming on the committee relationships, and I don't know if this is something we can do or not, but even when you talked about sending out notices and things to the parents or the teachers for the job fair, I don't know if we do this, but I haven't seen anything. Can we do like a little like newspaper or a flyer to parents to highlight some of like what's going on in Belvidere, so it's not everything online? Because, and I was thinking about it, that might help, you know, even for me, like when you get something in the mail and you get it in front of you and you take a look at it and it just kind of has a little more of an impact sometimes, you know, just to kind of like what's going on. I remember Mr. Carabinus used to do the little YouTube reports, something like that, but on paper. And maybe we can have the students do it. I don't know. Do we have a school paper?
We used to. I don't think we have the school paper anymore.
Scarlet Scoop.
I know, I
we've
mean, it's
gone
like, I know
online.
it's so old school, but I think it would be kind of fun, you know, if we can get the kids. Yeah, like a one-pager, get the kids involved with it and, you know, and have that go out to parents and then even community members.
Okay.
You know, kind of what's new, what's going on, kind of a thing.
That would be great.
That was my thought.
I feel like that would be great if you could get community members to see it too, because if you don't have a kid, you don't know when there's a tulip sale
Yep.
unless you stalk Mr. Duckworth.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
I do.
Right, and fundraising, like you had said prior, you
Yeah.
know, so we can know, you know, just get, you know, head up like a student committee, if you can, you know, and just have them kind of run with it.
I like it.
Yeah, outreach of like a Krispy Kreme sale might make the 8th graders a lot more money.
Yeah, I mean, I got not
Had a
kicked
Krispy
off,
Kreme
but
sale?
I mean, I was hacked
See?
on Instagram, and I can't get back on. So I'm so sad that I can't see half of the stuff that goes on with the school, and I've tried multiple times, and they're telling me I can't. So I can't see like the red zone, you know, things like that, and I'm, you know, trying to figure out a way to get back on. But.
Okay, I like it. Great idea. And the 8th graders are currently selling Gertrude Hawk candy bars.
Ooh, those are good.
Got
Why
real expensive
wasn't
though.
one here at the meeting?
They're $3 a candy bar, 2 for $5. I went for the 2 for $5 today.
A night like tonight, they could have made a
Yeah,
killing.
really. I would have bought one.
So, but I think I like it, Tyler. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Any other new business? No? Okay. Public participation. Anyone have public participation? Come on down. If only you had a candy bar.
Well, chocolate's good for everything.
There you go.
I'm Susan Yetter, and I'm from White Township, and I brought up last month about meeting the requirements for having feminine products in the school, and I just wanted to thank the board and Mr. Karuba for hearing me and listening and doing that. I really do appreciate you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public participation? No? Okay. So now we are looking to go in executive session for HIB appeal and a HIB. Can I have a motion for executive session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practicable. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the closed session in approximately 20 minutes? Half hour? Okay. We staying?
Action will be taken.
Action will be taken.
Will be taken.
Okay.
Sounds ominous.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the November and December HIB reports that are on the agenda tonight.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Nope, okay. A motion to end tonight's meeting, to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Well, except
Except if
some
you're on
people-
negotiations, stay here.
Negotiations
Yes.
gets to stay.
Adjourn, adjourn. I couldn't